In my mid-20s, I convinced my wife that a motorcycle was a good second vehicle for us. I used the "it'll save us gas money" pitch, which, with the benefit of hindsight, was a very flimsy argument at best. She bought it, or maybe she just took pity on me, but with her blessing, I picked up a used low-mileage 1989 Suzuki GS500E, and I loved that bike. And because I was fortunate enough to get such a good deal on the bike, I was able to get some really top-notch safety gear, which then included a beautiful AGV Spectre R1 motorcycle helmet. The helmet livery was red, white, and blue, which matched the livery on my bike, which was white and blue. Back then, that helmet set me back over $500, about a quarter of the cost of the bike. But my head was worth it, so I splurged. One day, I drove the bike home and pulled into my garage, but instead of closing the garage door right behind me, I left it open. I jumped off the bike and went inside to unload gear I had in my backpack, and I was only inside the house for about a minute, but when I walked back out, the helmet was gone. And in a blink of an eye, I had to make some pretty quick changes to my life. I couldn't ride the bike until I picked up a new helmet, and I really couldn't afford to get another nice helmet like the AGV because I didn't have any more disposable income, at least not at the time. I'm opening today's presentation with this memory because this incident is a micro equivalency to what is happening to the United States right now as a result of illegal immigration. We've left our garage door open, and millions of undesirables are flooding into this country, stealing stuff and hurting Americans, and changing what this country stands for. In this episode of Office of the Patriot, I'm going to discuss the fallacies that the left promotes regarding illegal immigration and the facts that all Americans should be aware of. Hello, and welcome to the Office of the Patriot. In this office, I try to make sense out of the nonsense of the progressive left and rhino right. If you are a subscriber, thank you for your continued viewership. It is appreciated. If you are a returning viewer, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future presentations. And if you are a first-time visitor to my channel, well, congratulations on finding it. It's usually hidden very well by the YouTube algorithm. However, I do hope you find the content worth coming back for. My name is Myron Ybarra, and I'm your host. It should be no surprise to anyone that our immigration system is not only broken, but the pieces to put it back together aren't even in place anymore. Bumbling Joe and his globalist minions have neutered immigration law enforcement. And this happens when you have an administration that is hell-bent on destroying the United States from the inside out. Sure, they'll broadcast the sob story via the state media arm, and that would be CNN, MSNBC, and pretty much all social media, that the illegal aliens who are flooding across our borders are coming here for a better way of life, and in doing so, are a boon to our economy. So let's delve into this lie. From the start of Bumbling Joe's tenure as President of the United States through August 30th, 2023, the DHS had 5.6 million illegal alien encounters. That number is closer to 8 million today. This means they caught and released 5.6 million illegal aliens into our country. These people, who have committed a felony under 8 U.S. Code 1325, were arrested and released into the United States without reporting instructions, a known address or contact information, any conditions of release, and in many cases, even without a court date. And DHS has no idea where they are. We don't even do this to Americans who are charged with a crime. This happened because of the huge backlog of pending immigration and asylum petitions that continue to stack up because of the massive influx of illegal immigrants as a result of the Biden administration. Many of these illegals won't have court dates for years. And these numbers do not even include a conservative estimate of 1.7 million known gotaways during the same period. And since I'm talking about criminality, let's not forget the over 600,000 criminal non-detained illegal aliens who either have a felony criminal conviction and or open criminal case above and beyond their crime of illegal entry. These people are also not in custody, so they are free to roam around our streets re-victimizing American citizens while waiting for an asylum hearing that is not only years away, but they are technically ineligible for as a result of their convictions. What's more infuriating is that these people can be deported immediately under 8 U.S. Code 1228, and this is absolute madness. Now, I've heard some cries from conservatives for the arrest and immediate deportation of these criminal illegal aliens. However, just deporting them back to Mexico will not guarantee against their future reentry. In fact, they are likely to just turn around and come right back hours after being deported. So, to combat this international catch and release game, I suggest we amend the International Prisoner Transfer Program, also known as the IPTP. Under the IPTP, the United States has prisoner transfer agreements with many countries to move international prisoners from prisons here in the United States back to their home countries. And this program can be easily adapted to transfer these criminal illegal aliens into the custody of their home country post-conviction involuntarily. The next lie is that these illegal immigrants are a boon to our economy, and truth be told, they're a drain on it. According to the director of the Center for Immigration Studies, most illegal immigrants are undereducated and, as a result, can only work menial labor jobs.
Director at the Center for Immigration Studies, and he joins us now. So 60% of the folks that are coming here illegally are being supported by the taxpayer. So what happened to all of these folks saying they're giving to society?
Right. So what happens is very often illegal immigrants have U.S.-born children. Most illegal immigrant-headed households have a U.S.-born child, so they get the benefits on behalf of a U.S.-born child. The reason that they qualify is because they're so poor. And the reason they're poor is that most, but by no means all, illegal immigrants tend to have very modest levels of education. So they do work. This is not because they don't work. This is because they work, but they make very low income. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is if you work but make low income, you qualify for everything from food stamps to free school lunch to the WIC program to public housing to the earned income tax credit. So working doesn't preclude welfare use. And what we're seeing is a lot of illegal immigrants do find jobs, but they're poor. And so they, and often their children, qualify for these programs.
Many of these jobs are in short supply, and because they're taking these jobs away at slave wages, they're undercutting able-bodied Americans. This also makes them eligible for federal aid and, in many cases, state public assistance that often exceeds the benefits the federal government offers based on the area. For instance, federal SNAP assistance averages about $7.50 per person per day, but in an area like New York City, the food subsidy increases via the state to over $12 per person per day. And since money still doesn't grow on trees, it has to be taken from Americans in the form of higher taxes and or the loss of government-provided resources to pay for these illegal aliens. Americans have to deal with the loss of resources as a result of the additional expenditures that come from supporting people who aren't even U.S. citizens. Our tax dollars are being reallocated from their intended purpose, which was to service Americans who have paid into these programs. There are numerous instances of illegal aliens who are staying in shelters or being housed in hotels for months on end without even having to pay one dime. The hotel owners and businesses who are accommodating these illegal aliens are being paid, however, but they're being paid with our tax dollars. And when you take money from one spot and you move it to another, some services are going to be impacted. And we're seeing this happen in a number of neighborhoods that are already in decline. Schools, homeless shelters, police precincts, hospitals, and airports are being closed down and or sectioned off to house, feed, and treat illegal aliens, which again is having a negative impact on many inner city Americans. And these people depend on these programs to survive. I don't know about you, but I will pick a law-abiding American citizen over an illegal alien any day of the week and twice on Sunday. While this position might seem harsh or even heartless, I can assure you it is not. Because while I do empathize with the plight of people trying to relocate to the United States for a better way of life, it doesn't mean that I endorse the criminality they employ to get here. And in my humble opinion, that criminality should count against them when they petition our government for legal status. Millions of legal immigrants went through a costly and time-consuming process of naturalization with no assurances that their gamble of relocating to the United States was going to pay off. For many of these people, it has. And that's primarily because these people have been driven to succeed. In most of my presentations, I often close with my recommendations on how to solve the presented problem, and in this case, that problem is illegal immigration. But pretty much everyone knows what needs to be done to fix the border crisis, to include the Biden administration. The problem is they are unwilling to do it. There's too much of a vested interest for many reasons to continue to allow and encourage this flood of illegal immigration into the United States. To that end, I've included a letter that I crafted which contains reasons our government needs to regain control of its sovereign borders and repercussions for representatives who fail to take action to do so. This letter is pretty generic in nature. However, it does put the onus of responsibility back on our representatives to uphold the law and safeguard Americans. And I encourage you to fill it out, save it, and email this letter to any and all government representatives you believe need a refresher course on what a sovereign country is supposed to be. I've also included links in the description section below to all federal and state congressional representative offices and the contact link for the Office of the President of the United States. Doing this will take you about 10 minutes of your time, and this is to personalize the letter and to email it to those representatives. Because at the end of the day, we the people have the ultimate say in the makeup of this country, and it's well past time for our elected representatives to be reminded of that. This concludes today's presentation of Office of the Patriot. If you enjoyed the content, please take the time to like, subscribe, and share my channel on your social media. It is appreciated. Also, please take the time to comment. Engagement is one of the major metrics YouTube employs in their search algorithms. The more people that like and comment, the more my channel comes up when social and political content like mine is searched for. And as always, have a blessed day and stay safe out there.